This is the Todd Shapiro Show on Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.
Anyway, here's Lance Lambert from Boveda.com. Hi, Lance.
Hey, Todd. How's it going, man?
You know, I'm wishing I was American this week because you got your big Thanksgiving Day long weekend. It's a great weekend. Like you guys don't do anything this weekend, do you?
Oh, my gosh. Most don't. I mean, no rest for the wicked here, but quite a few people do opt to take the whole week off, similar to Christmas down here.
Yeah, it's like, does America do anything from now till Christmas?
You know, a little bit, but it gets harder and harder. You know, talking from a business perspective, Q4, I remind people between Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, not to mention wrapping up into New Year's, yeah, you're pretty much looking at, 3 or 4 weeks missed out of a quarter. So you're really maybe 8-9 weeks of work that you get from some people. So, but you guys have your own. You do a little Thanksgiving up there though in Canada, right?
It's little, it's modest. We're not big into it. There's not big football games going. It's not like this. All we hear even on this end is Black Friday special everywhere. So so that's what we get during this time. We don't get that during our time.
So you can blame that on the capitalist American mentality right there. That's definitely a big thing down here for sure. I mean, to the point of mobs and total disarray of shopping centers. It's insane.
Oh, yeah. Those are my favorite videos, those viral videos where they're giving TVs off for like $70 more and like people are beating each other up for them.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Exactly. I'll stay home for that.
Hey, real quick, we got a call. Lance, John from Michigan. He'll probably talk about that. John, how are you?
Yeah, John.
Hey, I'm doing well, Todd. How are you, Lance?
I'm good. Thank you, sir.
I don't know exactly what you're going to get into, but I did read something Sunday with regard to California is going to up the sales tax on legal marijuana, and right now legal marijuana sales are struggling, the same as in Canada, with the black market basically still running about 70 to 80% of the market. And it has a lot of the distributors in California extremely upset because they're not, their profit margin isn't that great anyway. And
Dude, John, did you read, did Blau send you our show notes or something? That's literally Lance's first point.
That is exactly my first point. It's a good observation, John, because while it is centric to California, it's a pretty big deal. It definitely is. So that was my top talking point this afternoon. Great catch, man.
Thanks. So, John, why don't we, for the sake of better audio quality, why don't we let Lance explain it and talk about it? But we do appreciate you being really in the news and keeping us up to date with what is important to talk about when Lance jumps on. Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Cheers, man. Enjoy your turkey. Okay.
Be the Lance and John segment, man. He is on top of it. I'm very, very impressed. Although there's enough going on in Michigan as well right now in his backyard. But this is the first story. I mean, I'm kind of surprised it didn't get more national and international attention. We constantly compare our two countries, but specifically the regions with which we live, that being for you, Ontario, and for myself in California. And, it has been a struggle. It's been a struggle and a push and pull between the legal or regulated market, as most call it, and the illicit market, or the black market, as John referenced it. So this was a huge blow that happened. The news came out on the 22nd, so it hasn't quite been a week in. But the California Board of Taxation, as it pertains to the cannabis industry, is in fact increasing the business tax rates on legal cannabis. And so this is, it's just amazing. There's already hefty taxes on cannabis in some areas when you add up. And I think you guys are similar. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Todd, but here we have city tax, county tax, and state tax. So we have different levels of taxation all the way up to federal for certain products. So what we're looking at here is already, to John's point, they're being heavily taxed. There's a lot, when it's said and done, of this product that's taxed anywhere from 35 to 50% of overall costs associated with that product, that eighth, that ounce, et cetera, is all to do with taxes. So there is a bit of an anomaly that's happened in California since we went legal for adult use in January 2018, so shortly, obviously, after you guys up there. where the black market or illicit market has actually gone up 5 points. In the studies that they've been looking at lately, it's gone from 70 to 75% illicit market. In the anomaly there, you'd ask, well, how the heck? All of a sudden there's more legal, there's more license, there's more opportunity. Well, we came over, like you all, from a medical market. We were under Prop 215 before Prop 64. And with Prop 215, it was very much a gray area. So there was a lot, thousands of dispensaries, and not just in major metros like San Francisco, Sacramento, Los Angeles, San Diego, but all throughout the state. Well, with Prop 64 and the additional rules and regulations that were associated with it, everything from testing to taxation, all of a sudden we saw hundreds, if not thousands, of those stores shut their doors. They just could not transition into the full legal or white market. So that has been a challenge, and this is just a heavy blow, unfortunately, to those that have been hanging in there and they've paid all their taxes, all their dues, built their brands, built their distribution models. This has been a really, really big challenge for them. So it's unfortunate news for us to hear out of California this week.
Is it a necessity, though, for the government to do this?
You know, that's the sad part. It isn't. And, of course, being from here, growing up here, have traditionally been a fan of California. Unfortunately, the politics have gone a different direction in this state, not, in my opinion, for the better. Things are getting a bit more extreme on the Democratic side, almost hedging on socialism. But having said that, there are a lot of tax dollars in the coffers. There's actually a lot of revenue that California is sitting on, never mind the fact that it's the fifth largest economy in the world, and that's compared on a country scale, not even on a state level scale. So we have enough money, but for some reason they just continue to want to tax and squeeze as much as possible that they can. So it wasn't a necessary evil that was applicable based on some sort of dire straight situations or some sort of shortcomings in the coffers as it pertains to other governmental elements of the state of California. It was something they just did, and it was the opposite direction of what the industry wanted. The industry wanted to give a little more relaxation, a little more, kind of give, if you will, for those that have gone to the legal side, so they had that much more of an opportunity to thrive. So it's an unfortunate situation.
Oh man, yeah. Is this going to hurt? You think this is going to hurt some businesses thrive and to the point of maybe even some bankruptcy? Like, is it that dire that these margins will hurt them for sales?
I think it can, just because, and we've talked about this as well, when it comes to money in the industry, we're in a bad situation already, right? We've talked about what's happened not just in Ontario, but also over on Wall Street in the last several months, essentially since summer, and all kinds of companies, MedMen, Aurora, Tilray, companies we know and love that have great business plans that are getting affected by people all of a sudden pulling out their money because they aren't seeing these huge returns straight away. Which, you have to be even keel and steady because there's supply and demand that they're working through. There's, again, distribution, retail. It's been a huge challenge for retail of cannabis just in the province of Ontario alone. So it is very interesting that something like this would occur, and I do think it is going to hurt some small, for sure, but even some mid-sized to large-scale operations too.
My goodness. Lance Lambert's with us at BovedaInc.com, and we're just talking about how California boosted the cannabis taxes. Shocking, unsteady industry that we're faced with. In the UK, the Liberal Democrats have committed to cannabis legalization in the manifesto. What's going on in the UK now, the next to adopt it?
Yes. Yeah, the Lib Dems. They we like the Lib Dems. They're not quite the Conservative Party. And they're very open-minded and forward-thinking, which, in my opinion, again, is what's needed based on what's going on in UK with respect to Brexit. They have their own little issues going on over there. The party did push out a manifesto sharing that legalization would give the UK a £1.5 billion, or about 1.94 USD billion dollar boost through increased duties and savings for the policy force. So this is quite an interesting angle for them to take because while we don't have specific studies stating a majority favoritism in the United Kingdom as it pertains to cannabis, we do know they're very open-minded because there was nominal pushback from moving forward with a medical cannabis program last year. Now, to kind of give a little more insight to the politics over there, although they did say, Parliament did say that they're going to move forward with the medical program in the UK, it technically hasn't been fully launched. It really takes a bit of time. It's almost like the U.S. and other governments. Friends over there are saying it could take up to 3 to 4 years just for the medical program to be fully fully released and rolled out to the public. So, but this is interesting. This could definitely expedite it and could help, again, with some of the woes that they're facing around Brexit in general.
My goodness. Will we see the Royals smoking the marijuana at any point along?
There's been some ties associated. It's kind of interesting because the royal family themselves, they're actually smart investors, and they're no exception to that rule, just like religious parties. A lot of people aren't aware that the Catholic Church or the LDS or Mormon Church, if you look at some of these churches and some of these families, they've got some smart people on their side as far as knowing where to invest. So we've actually found ties between the royal family and the cannabis industry. Keeping in mind that the largest distributor of medical-grade cannabis in the world, ironically, is based out of England. It's GW Pharmaceuticals. We've talked about it before. They're actually more so known on the pharmaceutical side of the industry, but they do technically have both synthetic and biomass-based or organic-based cannabis products that are available. They're the only ones that actually have an FDA approval in the United States for a biomass-based cannabis product, and that comes out of England, and there's some connections over there. So,
my goodness. Yeah, usually when you start to hear these laws being pushed through, you go, well, someone heard some inside information and made some investments. There's even rumors in this country that Trudeau and his family made investments early days of Tweed and stuff. So really interesting how that's been talked about or whispered about. It's been whispered about. Lance Lambert here at 805 Lance from bovedainc.com. We're going to be out in Las Vegas in just over a week now, 2 weeks actually today, I think. When are we actually broadcasting out there?
Yeah, we are going to be broadcasting on the first and second day of the Las Vegas MJ Biz Cannabis Convention, and that is going to be on December 11th and December 12th. We will actually be We'll actually be doing it at 2 o'clock Pacific time, which I believe will be 5 o'clock Eastern time on both days. And it'll be fun. We'll be doing it from the second floor of the...
One thing I just realized, I hope this doesn't impact this. I'm glad I brought this up on air. I'm actually moving my show time just an hour up, so it'll be 4 to 6 Eastern. Meaning it'll be. Okay. Can we do it 1 to 3? Is the show? Can we do it 1 to 3? Is that going to put a wrench in the plans here?
I will let my marketing guy know right now.
Yeah, please do. That's there. Full disclosure, it's been tough for me. We came to this just last minute. We were talking about a new show here on Sirius just for an hour after me, and we thought that we were talking, and quite candidly, because I got this 10-week-old at home, I do the show till 7, don't get home to 8. I miss all the kids going to bed and stuff. So my wife and I talked, and we thought maybe I could go back to my old hours because it might be easier for the children in the evening. And then it worked out because they want to maybe tie in. Well, they said it today on today's show, maybe a sports show because we play so many sports actually at 7 o'clock right after my show. So it might work out for everybody.
There you go. Yeah, I'm sure we can definitely make it. I know they're building out the schedule for the space up there, but I think we have enough time to shift things around, I'm sure. Okay,
good. Sorry we brought that up. And last thing, we got a few minutes here. Forecasting the future in 2019 has been the year of hemp, but what's in store is we're only about a month and a few days away from 2020.
I know it is, and I really want to talk about this because, we have looked at, again, retrospect on 2019. 2018, we definitely knew was going to be a transition year. Again, focusing more so on a couple of predominant markets that are the U.S. and the Canadian markets. But 2019 has ended up being a bit of a transition as well. Both countries and the respective companies within, they've had their challenges. They've had their ups and downs, supply and demand, rules and regs, problems with pesticides, problems with mold, problems with distribution. It's been a challenge. But 2020, it seems like a lot of the dust is going to settle. Again, things are normalizing on Wall Street and up on the Ontario Stock Exchange. So it's nice to see that that things are kind of going to level out. Definitely, again, we've talked about before, do your homework when it comes to looking at what companies you want to invest in. Believe it or not, there was a company I've been watching for a few years that knowing that they're moving in the right direction, now is the time to buy. So I just bought in on a Canadian-based LP that's doing well. So
why don't you say who? Why don't you tell us who? Well, we don't give financial advice, but who cares? I can't give anyone financial advice.
and it's all public information. It's interesting now, I will admit, between my RSS feeds and newsletters, I'm probably consuming about 2 hours of information on the category each day. But it's Flower One. It's FLOOF on the stock exchange up there. I've been really impressed with what these guys have been doing, where they're sitting as far as revenue, accounts, et cetera. Again, just keeping an eye on what's going on. But I'm a big fan of Aurora, too. We've talked about Aurora. I've really been impressed with what they've been doing. They've always had a solid business plan. They've rode the waves really well as far as some of the challenges that have been outside, not internal, but external challenges to the company. So those are a few companies I'm keeping close eyes on in 2020. As far as trends, we've talked about, we're all excited about the celebration of concentrates coming into fruition on October 17th of 2019, the anniversary date of legalization of adult use in Canada. But everyone probably knows that the day that it comes to legalization versus the day it comes into fruition based on supply and demand and all the rest of it on distribution side, that's going to be a little delayed. So the concentrates, edibles, elixirs, topicals, those aren't really going to come into play until December. But I think that's going to give a nice spike to the Canadian market, pardon the pun, because there's a lot of people that just don't want to consume conventionally. It's faux pas for a lot of us to smoke anything. So to have access to a topical or a transdermal or an elixir, I think is going to help with the industry. Also, some cannabinoids to keep an eye on. We talked about CBG the other week. Another one that's going to be what I consider a hero cannabinoid. Again, a lot of people tight to the industry are familiar with this. Keep an eye out for CBN, cannabidiol. And cannabidiol, not to be confused with cannabidiol, which is CBD, the popular trend that's coming out of the whole hemp movement. CBN is great. Again, I'm not a doctor. This is just what I've seen in the studies from private and public colleges around the world, but is very, very well received as a natural sleep aid. So look out Ambient, look out Halcyon, look out all those other pharmaceutical and synthetics. There's a natural cure coming from cannabis, and I think 2020 is going to be the year of CBN. I really do, for both the Canadian and U.S. market alike.
Wow, great knowledge there. Everyone do your due diligence, of course. Lance Lambert, we love you, brother, from BovedaInc.com, two-way humidity control packs, keeping your flower fresh and ancillary product to the plant. And we cannot wait to be out in Las Vegas with you for those 2 days live at MJ Biz Broadcasting. It's going to be a kick-ass time. Thank you, my man.
Awesome. You got it. No problem. Ramsey said the schedule's been shifted. We're all good, my friend.
Oh, we're good. You haven't figured that out right now. Okay, good.
Yep,
Okay. And then more time to party after. That's what I say. We got to run here, Lance, but thank you so much. And we'll talk next week before
buddy.
Vegas to get our itinerary on air. And thank you. Cheers.
Awesome. Thanks, Todd. Cheers.
This is the Todd Shapiro Show on Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.